of the film, which are like more in the garden, handheld camera when she's crying, and like the cave, and so it was two different steps.
What was the visual concept before you started? I'm asking this because you, as it was mentioned, you very much rely on atmosphere rather than on dialogue. There are some scenes without dialogue at all. How did you prepare these scenes atmosphere-wise?
It's somehow, I would say, it's totally unconscious, I think. I just couldn't imagine it doing differently or putting an intention, you know, like that's how I want. If you read the script, maybe you read it much more traditionally, but when I was shooting, I understood like this is not me, this is not me, this is not me, you know. And I started looking for what is me, and it was about looking around. It was looking at the grandma, the landscape, the house, you know. So, and of course, speaking about the visual culture as it is, I would talk about Uzbek cinema or Russian cinema that educated the aesthetical culture, and so that's where it comes from. And I think also a lot comes from personal dreams and the way you see certain feelings. And yeah, that was the main concept. I tried to escape cutting a lot, so that was something that was always like, okay, try to avoid it, but then I was just relying on my feelings and intuition.
I think there were some more questions. There's one over there.
First, thank you for this wonderful film. And three questions. In the second setup, she's in the dark room and you see the other woman coming to her, like seen through like a ghost. Is this supposed to be a ghost or a vision? Second question, why is a small girl sleeping with these things over her hand? I was like thinking, what's the meaning of that? And maybe by the end I got a little bit lost. Who is in the pond? Because first I said it's a baby chair, but it can't be.
It can be and it cannot be. Let's start from the very beginning. First of all, I don't want to explain because I think that we can interpret things the way we want, and I always enjoy that in cinema or music or literature when you are not guided, you are given emotion, and then you build your story, and I find that fascinating and beautiful when you add yourself and you come up with your own world, you know, of interpretation. So that was something very, very clear for me from the very beginning. The ghost you see in the beginning of the film, it's, you know, the way the film is constructed, it's basically 4 generations that are divided and they are bound. You can say they are different person, and you can say at the same time it's one person at the moment living 4 times of her life, or the 4 possibilities that could happen to her. That is what is amazing about 40 Days of Silence, because when you talk to people that experience that, it's a moment when you face yourself. It's very simple, but on the other hand, it opens this amazing world of imaginary, of fears, of understanding who you are, what is your background, where you are going, what can happen, what cannot happen. So there is millions of questions that raises. So that's why I try to bring out 4 moments of womanhood, and maybe Bibichai, not maybe, but for me, she is just reflecting them as a mirror, you know, of herself in the childhood, like hence it can be something that maybe she hurt herself, but in reality it's henna, you know, we have this henna that we bound for the color, we do a lot for the children, and then there is Hamida that didn't go through the vow of silence, that is, we feel that she's more an exterior character, more, she throws her emotions out more than Bibicha, but she failed the 40 Days of Silence, so you feel that she's more dependent on men. And then there is a grandmother with her personal story. So I kind of try to, even if they go to the 3 directions, but then they come back to Bibicha, so it's like, for me, it's one character living 4 stages of her life at one moment of 40 Days of Silence, basically. And the pond. And the pond is, can be interpreted in really many ways, and I think it's really up to you to take it the way you want.
Somebody who would like to ask 4 questions.
Yes, thank you very much. Just one question. I understand from your explanation that you're, in fact, working on intuition, but you can't escape. I couldn't escape the impression that to watch the series of paintings, mostly the lightning of Caravaggio was reminded in your different scenes. So even if you're working on the basis of intuition on the spot, how far the intention to be pictorial has been a moving point for you?
Yeah, you know, of course, I have to say that my father is a cinematographer, so I grew up on a set, and I guess it just, you know, when you live with that, you cannot point it, because it's just a part of you. And my brother is a painter, so I think that I just grew up with it, so I cannot name it, but of course, when you say me Caravaggio, of course, you know, he was always there, and there are many other painters that were around, and it educates your eyes, and so it's hard to name, but of course all of them are there, I believe, that shaped me.
More questions? Where are you?
Yes. Yes.
This is of a question rather than to really express my appreciation for the way you're making this film. I don't know about others you've made, but this one is just really brilliant because it just leaves the space for everyone to see their own stories and don't tell you what to think and what to feel and how to explain it and where to relate it to and all this, what kind of seems to happen most of the time. So I think it's a really, really good film. I enjoyed that. Thank you.
Thank you.
I think there is no question from the audience right now. Probably I would like to ask you, because you mentioned, you said earlier when you found the grandmother, you found the house, the village, etc. So this is basically, I think it's located in Tajikistan. So I would like to know, when you found your space and also the grandmother, and I understood she's the one who was not professionally acting beforehand, so how did she handle the camera and the crew and all? It must have been something very strange in her life.
Well, it was definitely special for the whole village, but they were just wonderful people, very generous, they just embraced us and gave us all the possibilities to make this film happen. The film I was working on it for a long time. There was a lot of complications to make it happen. But when it was happening, there was not a single problem. So it was like a blessing, you know. And the only thing that there was the grandfather that would just check sometimes what the grandmother is doing in front of the camera.
Did he want to be part of it?
No. He was very respectful, but sometimes he would say, "Come here." To the grandmother. But then she would come back and tell me, "Okay, he was asking what I'm doing."
Have they seen the film already?
No, not yet, but we're gonna do the screening soon.
So if there is no question anymore, thank you very much for this wonderful film, and thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much also to the audience for your patience and to stay until the end.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.